We will continue today the commercial mechanical inspector exam preparation. We are now in module number 9, exhaust 1. Recommended study time 180 minutes. Module 9 required reference. International Mechanical Code Chapter 5. Exhaust. Illustration 9a. Exhaust. Exhaust, the guideline protect life, property, and health from hazard of air contaminant. Understanding the code. Throughout this module, you will learn about code requirements for the installation of exhaust system with an emphasis of life and fire safety, need for exhaust system, Chapter 5. Chapter 5 in the International Mechanical Code contains requirements for the installation of exhaust system with an emphasis on the structural integrity of the system and equipment involved. Also, it addresses the overall impact of the system on the fire safety performance of the building. Exhaust conclusions. This exhaust fan number 5 is the exhaust fan. Illustration 9a, exhaust discharge. Exhaust system mitigate health and fire hazards by removing and diluting contaminants in building. The discharge location of exhaust system is also addressed as an important concern. General International Mechanical Code 2021 Section 501. Exhaust regulation determine where exhaust systems are required. They also address the specifics of mechanical exhaust system for cooking appliances. Specific covers in the next module. Illustration 9c, independent exhaust system. An independent exhaust system is required for environmental air. Closest dryer exhaust system, type 1 system, except as in section 506.3.5, and type 2 exhaust system for food processing operation. Illustration 9d, dryer exhaust system. A dryer exhaust system refers to the duct work and sometimes an external fan that removes the humid air from closest dryer. Discharge. The discharge location of exhaust should avoid being a nuisance. Several examples of nuisance are listed in the code and covered in the next section, but in general terms, the code allows for the code official to deem something a nuisance that is not specifically listed. Areas forbidden for discharge. Exhaust cannot be discharged at the most convenient location for the design engineer. There are areas where it should not be discharged according to the code, should not discharge where it could be drawing in by ventilation system, should not discharge into an attic, should not discharge into crawl space, should not discharge onto walkway, minimum distance and corrosion resistance, the termination point of exhaust outlet and duct that discharge to the outdoor must be located with the following minimum distances as we see here. Illustration 9e, explosive or flammable vapor, fumes or ducts. This is the building, this is the outdoor air intake. This 10 feet, okay, from the outdoor intake, this is the exhaust. Okay, it must be higher than 6 feet and far 30 feet from the property line and 10 feet from outdoor intake. These items of discharge must be 30 feet from property line, 10 feet from operable opening into building, 6 feet from exterior walls and roofs, 30 feet from combustible walls and operable openings into the buildings that are in the direction of the exhaust discharge, and 10 feet above the adjoining grade. Building. Illustration 9F. Products conveying outlet. Other product conveying outlets meaning they carry vapors, fumes, or ducts that are non-flammable or non-exclusive must be 10 feet from the property lines, 3 feet from exterior walls and roofs, 10 feet from operable openings into building, and 10 feet above the adjoint grade. Study tip. Remember that we are reading for contents and familiarity, not memorization, but reading through this and your section in the code, you will be able to reference the right sections when you need to. Illustration 9G, environmental exhausts, the building. This is the operable openings, window or mechanical air intake. Environmental 3 feet, 3 feet, 3 feet from property line. Environmental exhaust include domestic kitchen range exhaust, bathroom exhaust, domestic clothes dryer exhaust, and parking garage exhaust. All environmental air exhaust must be 3 feet from property line, 3 feet from operable openings in building for all occupancies other than group U, and 10 feet from mechanical air intake. When an issue, exhaust outlets in food hazard area must be at or above the elevation required by the IPC in section 1612. Screens, louvers, and grill. Outdoor terminations required corrosion resistant material, screen, louvers, or grills. Illustration 9H, screen, louvers, and grills opening restrictions. The openings in screens, louvers, and grill are restricted to be quarter to half-inch and protected against local weather conditions. Note that closest dryer as shown here cannot have these opening restrictions. Some for some form of makeup air is required to maintain neutral or negative pressure to satisfy the deficiency from the exhaust. Example, if there is 1500 CFM of exhaust from a space, there should be some treated outside air provided up to 1500 CFM so that there isn't air rushing in from outside the space wherever door or air window is opened. Required system International Mechanical Code 2021 Section 502. An exhaust system is required for all occupied area where dust or particles are in the air or where heat, odors, fumes, spray, gas, or smoke are created and are irritating or injurious to health or safety. Illustration 9I exhaust inlet. The exhaust inlet should be the heaviest concentration of contaminants. For example, the bottom of an air inlet or exhaust openings in fuel dispensing area must be within 18 inches of the floor. If we are talking about aircraft fueling operations, adequate ventilation is required at floor level or within the floor itself. Study tip: this general statement applies to everything you read in the section 502. Mechanical exhaust ventilation shall be provided to capture gases, fumes, mist, or vapors at the point of generation. International Mechanical Code and the application notes velocity exhaust for every application: stationary battery storage, dry cleaning type 2, dry clean type 4 and 5, and so on. Illustration 9J, summary of section 502. We have created this table to summarize the highlights from this section. You can read through it to gain an understanding of subsection and content for future reference. Domestic cooking exhaust equipment, International Mechanical Code Section 505. Domestic cooking exhaust equipment is required to discharge the outdoor of I1 and I2 occupancies. In other occupancies, they can discharge indoor if code required ventilation is provided. Illustration 9K, domestic cooking ducting. Ducts used for domestic cooking must be sheet metal ducts constructed of galvanized steel, stainless steel, aluminum, or copper. Downdraft system can be Schedule 40 PVC when installed under slab on grade. Duct requirements. Domestic cooking ducts have other important requirements. Study tip: duct requirements: smooth inner walls, airtight, equipped with backdraft damper, independent of all other exhaust system, makeup air, Understanding the code, where a common multi-story duct system for multiple domestic kitchen exhaust system is used. The requirements are the same as multi-story dryer exhaust system. Commercial kitchen code in International Mechanical Code 2021 section 507. Illustration 9L commercial kitchen hood. Commercial hood are designed to capture and confine cooking vapor and residues available as type 1 or type 2. Type 1 hood are for grease and smoke from grilling, frying, etc. Type 2 hood are primary for heat and moisture, oven, stove, and dishwater, etc. Type 2, okay, substitution. Understanding the field. Commercial kitchen exhaust hood systems operate while cooking is taking place. A Type 1 exhaust fan must have automatic controls that will activate the fan when any appliance served is turned on. An alternate setup to this is the appliance is interlocked with the fan so that it cannot turn on unless the exhaust fan is turned on. Illustration 9M, temperature and radiant energy sensor. Temperature and radiant energy sensor. Where on or more temperature or radiant energy sensor are used to activate a type 1 hot exhaust fan. The code states that the fan must activate within 15 minutes after the first appliance has been turned on. Type 1 hot, International Mechanical Code 2021 section 507.2. This is a type 1 hot. Illustration 9N type 1 hot. Type 1 hood are installed where cooking appliances produce gas, grease, or smoke as a result of the cooking process. For medium duty, heavy duty, and extra heavy duty cooking appliances. Fast facts. A Type 1 hood is not required for an electric appliances that emits 5 mg per cubic meter or less of grease when tested at the exhaust flow rate of 500 CFM. Illustration 9.0 mg per cubic meter of grease. These mixed units make it difficult to visualize, but this is the same as saying the emissions can not be more than 71 mg of grease per minute. For most grease, 1 tablespoon is about 14 grams, so 71 milligram of grease per minute is 0.005 tablespoons of grease vaporized per minute, about 1 teaspoon per hour. It really doesn't take much to exceed that amount. Type 1 hot requirements. Type 1 hot have minimum requirements in order to be classified as type 1 hot. Let's look through them now. Illustration 9b, independent exhaust system. This is independent exhaust system. Extra heavy duty cooking appliances like this wood burning barbecue grill required an independent exhaust system, that is, they cannot be combined with any lighter duty appliances. Labeling. A type 1 hot must have a label indicating the minimum exhaust flow rate in CFM per linear foot of hood. Construction. Type 1 hood must be constructed of steel at least 0.0466 inch, number 18 gauge thick, or stainless steel at least 0.0335 inch, number 20 MSG is in thickness. Fast facts. Type 1 hoods must be secured in place by non-combustible support and installed with an 18-inch clearance to combustible. Welding the hood joint seams and penetration. Illustration 9Q, grease filter. Grease filters must be included. They also must be accessible for cleaning and replacement. There is a minimum distance required from the heating surface to the bottom of the filter. Study tip. Minimum distance required from heating surface to bottom of filter. Minimum 6 inches for no exposed flame. Minimum 2 feet for exposed flame and burners. Minimum 3.5 feet for charcoal or corporeal understanding practice. Filters should be installed at a 45-degree angle. They should have something to catch drips so that no grease drips into the food. Fire suppression system. An approved automatic fire suppression system is required when a Type I hood is in use. Type 2 HOT, International Mechanical Code 2021, Section 507.3. This is the Type 2 HOT. Illustration 9R, Type 2 HOT. Type 2 HOT are used for dishwasher and appliances that produce heat or mixture, yet don't produce grease or smoke. Not meant for grease. It's easy to identify a Type 2 hot because of the absence of grease filter. There is no grease filter here. Fast facts. Spaces containing cooking appliances that don't require Type 2 hood will still require general exhaust at a rate 0.70 CFM per square foot. Type 2 hood requirements. Let's look at Type 2 hood requirements. These are not as restrictive as Type 1 hood. Construction. Type 2 hood don't require labeling, but they must be constructed of steel at least 0.0296 inch, number 22 gauge, thick stainless steel at least 0.0220 inch, number 24 gauge, thick, or copper sheets weighing at least 24 ounces per square foot, or of the approved material gauge. canopy type, hot, size and location. National Mechanical Code 2021 section 507.4. Illustration 9s, canopy type hot. Canopy type hot are the most common type of hot that you will see in the restaurant kitchens above cooking surface. They must overhang at least 6 inches beyond the top surface of the appliances on all open sides. The vertical distance between the front lower lip of the hood and the surface cannot exceed 4 feet. Illustration 90, non-canopy type hood. Non-canopy type hood are the most common type of hood that you will see in domestic kitchen above stove top. They can't be more than 3 feet above and cooking surface. The edge of the hood cannot be set back more than 1 foot from the front edge of the cooking surface. Capacity of hoods, International Mechanical Code 2021 section 507.5. We need to determine the required capacity of our hood type paired with our selected appliance type. Understanding design. The net quantity of exhaust air is calculated by subtracting any airflow supplied directly to the hood cavity from the total exhaust flow rate of the hood. The exhaust rate required for the heaviest duty appliances covered by the hood used for the entire hood. Hood table to be inserted here is the type of hood. And this extra heavy duty, medium duty, light duty, and dishwasher. Illustration 9U, minimum airflow for hoods. This table shows the minimum net airflow in CFM per linear foot for pairing of hood type of appliances. Commercial kitchen hood, ventilation system, ducts and exhaust equipments. International Mechanical Code 2021 section 506. As mentioned before, the duct serving a hood must be the same related type as the hood. This section describes the requirements for the ducts and equipments for each hood type 1 and 2. Ducts serving type 1 hood. International Mechanical Code 2021 section 506.3. Illustration 9V exhaust duct. Type 1 exhaust duct have similar requirements as type 1 hoods. They should be independent of all other exhaust system, although hood in the same room can be combined. Construction duct serving type 1 hood must be constructed of steel having a minimum thickness 0.0575 inches, number 16 gauge, or stainless steel at least 0.0450 inches, number 18 gauge in the thickness. Notice that this is thicker than the hood requirements. Joints, seam and penetration. Joints, seam and penetration of grease duct have the same requirements of hood. Here, illustration 9, W ducts, joints, seam and penetration. The spill duct joint, telescoping duct joint, it's like this. And here is the spill, and here for weld flange joint. Okay, duct joints can be one of 3 scenarios only: a butt joint, weld flange joint with maximum flange depth of 1/2 inch, a telescoping type of overlap joints, or a bell type of overlap joint. All joints must be installed to allow grease to flow to collection point. Understanding the field, the air velocity passing through the duct must be at least 500 feet per minute. This velocity is required to carry the grease droplets through the duct and out of the building. If the velocity is too low, grease will not succeed in getting pulled through the duct. Construction option for duct to hot connection. The duct to hot connection must be continuous, internal or external, liquid, tight weld or brace joint, smooth and accessible for inspection without grease traps. Here, an assembled position, and here the assembled position. Illustration 9x cooler connection. A vertical duct to hood connection can be made in the top plane of the hood. This using a 1-inch deep full perimeter flange on both the hood opening and the duct, and the gasket rated for 1500 degree Fahrenheit between flanges. This is secured by welding stud bolt no more than 4 inch on center and at least quarter-inch in diameter with lock washer. Understanding the field. Duct to exhaust fan connections must be flanged, gasket, and bolted with the gasket able to withstand at least 1500 degree Fahrenheit. Leakage and type testing and light testing. Slope requirements. Type 1 duct systems are constructed so that no grease can get trapped. Here, grease duct, and here is the slope, and here cleaning opening. Constructed required for this is the construction required for grease duct, grease reservoir, minimum 1-inch depth, bottom slope at point of discharge. Illustration 9y, duct slope and grease reservoir requirements. Ducts are sloped at least quarter 12, 2% slope towards the hood or towards grease reservoir for horizontal duct longer than 75 feet. The slope must be bit greater, at least 1 to 12, 8.3% slope grease reservoir. Catch the grease at the bottom, run the full width of duct and have a length of at least 12 inch. Grease duct reservoir. Grease duct reservoir must be located on the bottom of the horizontal duct, on the bottommost section of the duct riser. They also must have a depth of at least 1 inch, have a bottom that slopes to a drain, be provided with a clean out opening located on side or on top of the duct. Grease duct clean out and opening requirements. There are specific requirements for clean out and opening. The code says there should be no opening. Expect where requirements. Here are the required location. Illustration 9Z, clean out and access. Clean out access is required every 20 feet. It is also required within 10 feet from any change in direction greater than 45. The opening dimension must be at least 12 inches by 12 inches. Clean out and opening must be located within 3 feet of inline fine duct connection and at all grease reservoirs. Other clean out and opening requirements. Fast facts. Openings can not be any closer than 1 inch from the edge of duct. Large duct. Illustration 9AA. Large duct. Ducts can be large if the duct is large enough to allow personal entry. An opening that is at least 22 inches by 20 inches must be in each horizontal section and in the top of each vertical riser. The duct pictures is not large enough for personal entry. Where the entry is provided, the duct and its support must be capable of supporting the additional load, and the clean out are thus not required. Underground grease ducts. Although rare, underground grease duct may sometimes be necessary, and the code addresses specific requirements of them. Listen to this audio link as we run through summarize requirement. Type 1 exhaust outlet. Grease exhaust outlet cannot be cause, a cause of public nuisance nor be a fire hazard. Again, nuisance is left up for interruption. How about where it could drip on your head? The exhaust outlet is not permitted to cross where the international building code required protected opening. Okay, here's this grease exhaust outlet, and here is the distance between it and air intake is 3 feet, and from the property line is 10, and from building opening is 3 feet, and for grease exhaust outlet, okay, this 40 inch from the roof and 10 feet from the building. Illustration 9 AP grease exhaust outlet location specification termination can not be within 3 feet of any opening in the external wall. A minimum distance of 10 feet is required horizontally from any building component or property line above the adjoining grade level and horizontally from 3 feet above any air intake opening. When at the roof, they must terminate a minimum of 40 inch above the roof surface. Fast facts. The 10-foot horizontal distance can be reduced to 5 feet if the outlet is charged away from this location. Duct serving type 2 hood. This is International Mechanical Code 2021 section 506.4. Illustration 9AC. Ducts and plenum for type 2 hood. Type 2 hoods. Ducts and plenum serving type 2 hoods must be made of rigid metallic materials. Their outlet location have specific code requirements. Notice some of the similarities compared to those specified for the grease exhaust outlet location. Study tip. Duct and plenum outlet location requirements at least 3 feet in any direction from opening into the building, at least 10 feet from property line or building on the same lot, at least 10 feet above grade, at least 30 inches above the roof surface, 5 at least 30 inches from exterior vertical walls. Number 6, not directed onto walk away. Exhaust equipment for commercial kitchen code, International Mechanical Code 2021, section 506.5. Here, this illustration 9A-D Grace exhaust fan. Grace exhaust fan help move unwanted contaminants out of the kitchen. The exhaust fan motor should be located outside of the exhaust airstream. Illustration 9AA inline exhaust fan. For an inline fan located indoor, the fan must be in an accessible place that has the same fire resistance rating as the duct enclosure. Illustration 9AF pollution control unit. Okay, pollution control units are sometimes required to eliminate grease, smoke, and odors in the air being exhausted. Understanding practice. An airflow differential pressure control is required to monitor the pressure drop across the filters. When the airflow is reduced below the design velocity, the control activates a visual alarm located where the hood installed. Illustration 9A-G Grace on the roof. Grace duct exhaust charge is not permitted to impinge on the roof. The other equipment or appliances or part of the structure. This must be mitigated. Illustration 9H Upblast fan. Upblast fans serving type 1 hood and installed in the vertical or horizontal position are to be hinged, supplied with flexible weatherproof electrical cable to permit inspection and cleaning and occupied with a means of restraint to limit the swing of the fan on its hang. Commercial kitchen makeup air, International Mechanical Code 2021, section 508. Makeup air must be supplied during the operation of commercial kitchen exhaust system for commercial cooking appliances. The makeup air system is required to start and operate simultaneously with the exhaust system. Air balance table CFM, supply air, transfer air, exhaust air, makeup air, and the total. So this mechanical HVAC plan level, this illustration 9AI makeup air. The makeup air should be neutral in temperature and pressure. This means it should balance out the amount of air that is exhausted but still keep the kitchen negative. The air balance should be noted in the design plans. Understanding design, the supplied makeup air should be within 10 degrees Fahrenheit of the room air on the HVAC system should be sized or the HVAC system should be sized handle the load introduced from the makeup air. Let's review and take the quiz. For the quiz here, which of the following does not require an independent exhaust system? Laboratory dryer exhaust serving or serving a charcoal grill or type 1 kitchen hood. The type 1 kitchen hood does not require an independent exhaust. Okay, let's see the next. From a common exhaust system for domestic kitchen in a multi-story building, all the requirements are the same as for common dryer exhaust system except for which requirements. Makeup air for domestic kitchen exhaust is not required until one kitchen exceeds 400. A grease duct come up 5 feet from an exhaust hood, runs horizontally for 87 feet, then up another 20 feet to the roof. What slope is required in the horizontal section of the duct? It is 1 unit vertical to 12 unit horizontal, 8.3% slope. The next one, number 4, a grease exhaust outlet terminate above roof. What distance required above the roof surface on the discharge opening? It is 3 feet 4 inches. Where a type 2 exhaust hood is required, a type 1 or type 2 hood can be used. Where a hood is installed, the installation of the entire system must comply with a type 1 installation. A dishwashing appliance has a single island canopy type 2 hood that is 5 feet long. What exhaust rate is required for the hood? 500 CFM. So we finish this module 9 for exhaust 1. The next module we will study exhaust 2.